I wish that I'd been taught when I was at school. I'm an investor, a business owner, and a money educator. Understand it better, compound interest, cash flow, budgeting, investments, recover from debt. No one explained to me, put your money to work. It's about normalising the conversation. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Money Mechanics podcast. I'm Sarah Poynton and I'm joined today with Lawrence, who I'm going to get to tell you in a minute what he does, but I'm really excited about this conversation. We've been actually trying to get it into the actual schedule for a little while and we are here now. So Lawrence, tell everybody who you are and what you actually do.
So I'm Lawrence Keighley. I would start off, I'd say I'm a full-time carer because it's big background to how the business took off, but I'm Lawrence Keighley. I'm from the founder and CEO of LK Gold, and we buy and sell gold and silver. We do jewellery, bullion, and luxury watches.
Okay. Where are you based?
I'm based in Portsmouth.
Okay, cool.
Right down south.
Trading gold and silver, and you're 27, right?
Yeah, 27.
So how long have you been doing that?
Since May.
Okay, so quite new to it.
Since June, I think.
June of 2025.
Yeah, June.
So tell us a little bit about how you ended up trading precious metals. Like, tell us your background and what's...
Yeah, I'll go back a little bit because there's a bit of a backstory to it. But basically, my partner sadly got a brain disease, and she was in hospital for coming up to a year. And long story short, it was really bad, and she's doing a lot better now. But she went through, she spent a lot of time in a coma, hospitals, and then went into rehab to learn to walk again. She then come out of hospital in the May, and I become a full-time carer. And before this, I was running a property management company, and I was used to living a fairly okay lifestyle. Just basically after a month, I needed to do something to kind of bring some money in. And funny enough, I always wanted a ring. I wanted a gold ring, but I've always been too stingy to actually buy one, to be honest, and I didn't actually understand them. It's a bit of a full circle. I didn't really understand how the investment side of it. So I bought a gold ring online, and I thought, worst comes to worst, I've got a ring. I've still not got a ring, because since then I've just been buying and selling. Because at the early stages I couldn't actually get out of the house really, so I was lucky enough to use a friend to go to like the post office. Because I was just literally advertising on my Facebook originally, and basically buying an item online and selling it online. Obviously now I can get out a little bit more, and the business is starting to evolve. But that's basically how it was born.
Amazing. So what you're actually doing, so you will buy a ring, some jewellery, earrings, gold, bullion in its physical form, and you'll hold that physical gold and you will then, I guess, time and sell it at a profit. Yeah,
in short.
In summary. Okay. Yeah. So did you have any experience of buying and selling gold in any capacity, like exposure to it, or before you actually started the business?
None at all.
Okay.
My background is, I'm a property investor, so I've been doing that for the last 4 years. My background is investing. I've always been more, probably a little bit backwards to most people. I've been more interested in investing than business.
Yeah.
I've got quite a good track record from investing. Business, lots of failures, obviously. The more you learn, and then it's kind of getting somewhere now. But I'm used to trading commodities, and obviously gold's a commodity, property's a commodity. And the way I like to do things is I try and simplify things nice and easy for me. And at the time, I was trying to start a business. I couldn't really, because of my partner, I couldn't risk losing all my capital. And I only started with £800 originally. Okay. Because I was doing all right. When she went in hospital, lost most of the money I had, to be honest with you. And basically, I've worked out with gold, obviously it holds a lot of the value. Worst comes to worst, I'd scrap it. Like the ring, I'd still get the scrap value, so I'd still maintain like 90% of the value. And that was the main reason I actually started it off, was more because it still had the value. It also, obviously, it's also a very good investment, but obviously as I started learning more, is part of the reason the business took off, and it's going from there really.
So you bought the ring, your original ring that you bought, and obviously you've not got it on, so you must have sold that.
Yeah, I think I sold it in 2 days.
What did you buy it for?
This is just rough figures, but the first ring was £760, I think. And I'm pretty sure I sold it for like £15 profit. It was very small profits originally. It's because a lot of it is, we're trying to get someone to trust you with £800 online. Yeah. Without any kind of following. It's quite difficult. So what I actually done with the first one is I actually sent it off to a trader. So I had to take the risk and send it off to them first, because I didn't have the... they were a trusted trader. I was just... selling the ring. Obviously now it's a little bit different. And obviously as I've built it more, I don't have to take the same kind of risks. But
so what made you want to do like physical gold in your hand versus online in a platform?
I have always liked gold. I've liked gold and silver. I like jewellery. I've not really worn much of it, but I've worn a little bit. I like watches, but it was more just the store of value, and I don't think there was I don't think there was any reason between it. I was just
just what you did.
I must have picked it up somewhere, and I think I've seen a lot of people wear gold in the hospital, to be honest. And I've got a bit of a full round story now. I go up to the hospital she has infusions regularly, and I'm getting known for doing quite a lot of business in the hospital. You'd be surprised how much gold and silver I've bought and sold in the hospital. In the Costa.
So have you just started to tell people that you trade gold, and they're like, oh, I've got a ring knocking about actually, like, would you buy it off me? And you buy it at lower than the current price, and then you sell it once the price goes up? Okay, a very short interruption of the episode, so I want you to get back to listening. I just wanted to remind you that the Money Mechanics weekly newsletter is completely free, and we'll send this out to you every week. All you've got to do is find the link in the show notes and get signed up. When we send this out to you, this weekly newsletter is going to include things that will help you to become a better money mechanic. It could be things like what's happening in the markets, things like budgets, how that's going to impact you. And I'm also going to share a lot of insight into what I'm doing in my own portfolio and in the portfolios of the guests we've got on the podcast, to really just help you understand what you could do differently to make your money work as best as it can for you. Make sure you go and find that link and get signed up.
Yeah, so I'm quite good because at the moment I've not got a shop, I've not got a lot of the overheads, a lot of the other traders. So I offer very fair prices, and the way I work my model is I try and offer, like with Bullion's a lot more easy example. So there's all the Bullion sites online. So say they sell like a silver coin for £50. I'm just using example figures. I'll buy it for £40, and say they buy it for £50, I'd sell it for 40, and if they're selling for 80, I'd sell it for 70.
Okay.
Well, the way I'm working my business at the moment, I try and just undercut.
You're trying to like undercut the bigger people.
Yeah. And also
so for people that are listening to this that have never even really entertained precious metals at all, tell them what the difference is between bullion and in the form of jewellery or in other forms.
So bullion is mainly coins and bars. So you can get like gold and silver, you can get like ounce coins, you can get kilo coins, and then ounce bars, and obviously bigger bars. The thing with the bullion, there's a lot of, like, you can get Britannias and sovereigns that are capital gains, tax-free.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
So a lot of them are tax-free, whereas a lot of people, why they like investing in coins over bars. So you don't get, with the bars, you don't get that. But with sovereigns and Britannias, you do.
So if you're buying and selling that, the capital gain, if you're doing it in a business, one thing, but if you're doing it personally, you would normally have a capital gain, but you're doing that to kind of get around that issue.
And there's also no VAT. So a lot of traders will just, and I actually learned that because when I did start getting out, I started working with a local shop. And he's, he basically just does bullion to get around the VAT issue. But I do jewellery and bullion.
So if your model is to like meet people in Costa and buy gold from them, do a lot of people have gold bullion like knocking about in their houses? Is that actually a thing that a lot of people have got?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how much money's out there. Most 95% of my business is still online. So it's only so for the first 3 months I couldn't actually get out of the house at all. Yeah. With my partner, I was caring for her literally completely full time. Now she's got a lot of independence back. I can go out of the house for a good few hours, get a lot of business. I can go out for the whole day now. So things are starting to change. Obviously, as I can do more, I'm now trying to get out and meet people and other traders and kind of grow the business, focus more on growing the business. But you'd be surprised how many...
I'm so surprised by that. I think that's really interesting. Like, I obviously assume that people will have jewellery because I think that's just a really normal, common thing to have. But I hadn't really anticipated that lots of just average Joe people would have bullion knocking around in their houses or in their safes or wherever.
You'd be surprised how many people with, like, I'll go back on one of the stories that I met someone in Costa. So I was a little bit nervous when I first see someone, but I see someone with a really nice chain. Yeah. And I was trying in the Costa queue, and I was. This is when we were going up there for a day where she was having her infusions. I went down to get the Costas, and I kind of just was trying. I just went, "Oh, I really like your chain, man. It's a lovely chain, that." And he went, "Oh, thanks." And I went, "Oh, that's what I do for a living. I'm not just kind of put it out there." And long story short, we sat down, had a little chat, and I said I'd buy that. If you ever wanted to sell that chain, I'd happily buy that. And what actually happened is I had a ring on my finger. And what actually happened, he said, "I don't want to sell it, but I love that. I've been looking for that ring you've got on your finger." And I ended up selling the ring. So I actually spoke to him about the chain. Yeah. And then ended up selling the ring literally off of my finger. But the thing is, that one... I met him in the hospital. It's like quite a while. It's like 20 miles away from where I live. But we do regular business now with Bullion. So he had a lot of silver coins. Because he was into the jewelry. I think because he was into the jewelry, he was also just buying a little bits of silver. And silver and gold have both gone up a lot. Like, since I've done it, I've not really had to do much. The last 6 months, it's gone absolutely crazy.
It's gone wild. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Which is one of the reasons I've been so interested in having this conversation with you, because I'm obviously watching. I own gold in a digital form, effectively, and own effectively shares that track the price of gold. But I've not physically bought and sold gold. I've done it in like the digital world. And I've obviously been watching the price and know that the price is going up and up and up. And I'm like, this is an interesting thing. And actually, like you say, if you can, so this guy, he had silver bullion and now you've done a bit more business with him.
He had silver ounce coins that he basically just stuck in the cupboard. He barely even knew they were there. He's doing all right. He's starting to collect jewellery. Yeah. He's a builder. He's got a good job, and they literally just basically sat there collecting dust. And when he bought them, they weren't worth that much per coin at all. They literally doubled in value since he bought them. But since then, we've run quite a lot of business together. I met him 3 months ago, and we've probably done north of £50,000 of business, and that was just a random Costa meet. And I've had a few.
In Costa.
Yeah. But and a lot of the time a lot of my business is regular business, because a lot of people it's like anything really. If you do stocks and shares, once you do something successful,
you do again.
Easy. They can just buy some gold, buy some silver, and then it's going up. It's a lot of people obviously come back. So it's like, if you can make some money once, a lot of the time it is repeat customers.
Yeah. So if you're you say you do most of your business online. So is that you like in Facebook groups, just saying, if you're looking to sell gold, I can buy it from you, and you kind of connect with the people that are selling it first. And then once you've bought it, you buy it at less than the current market value. And then you've got the ability to sell it whenever you want.
Yeah, that's basically it. And especially with some of the bigger bits, I can buy fast and quick, and a lot of the people just want quick cash. And when you've got bigger items, obviously they struggle to sell them. And a lot of people, obviously, especially on Facebook groups, just get silly prices anyway. I think that's why I've took off so much, because my margins ain't great, but they're fair prices. I buy quick, buy easy, and because of that, it's taken off, and it's grown quite quick, to be honest.
I think in terms of the margins, like when you've not got the same overheads as your competitors and you've got a much simpler, streamlined business, you don't need the same margins to still create a good income and a good revenue for the business, which is great. So well done. So in terms of like thinking back to like you did property management before this. How long were you doing property management for?
Coming up to 3 years.
So like in your early 20s, really, you started your first business in your early 20s?
No, I tried to start my first business when I was 18, the day I turned 18.
Tell us about that.
That was a complete failure.
That's right. Mine was a failure too, my first one.
I'll go back a little bit more. So do you want me to go back and give you a bit of a complete kind of backstory?
Yeah, tell us all about you.
So up until I was about 12, I lived a fairly decent life. And then when I was 12, I actually had a heart operation. And up until that point, football and boxing was my life. But even if I walked out of the house, I'd be dribbling a football. And long story short, the doctor said that I wouldn't be able to play football or boxing for like 2 years. When we went back to the doctor, I think it was like a 3-month checkup. It turned out he basically said I could play again. But by that point, I kind of went down a bit of a bad path. I started getting into trouble. Within that, like a couple of month period, I just got into lots of trouble. I ended up getting kicked out of all the schools in my town. And basically left school early. But at the time, it was a terrible thing. Looking back now, it's kind of helped me because I got into work very early. And when I was 16, I ended up I used to work in like a phone repair shop as a salesman. Okay. As you all know, technology is not my strong point, so it was just more the sales. But that was the first place. Like they had 30 shops. They were small. Within like 3 years, they had 30 shops, and that was my first insight of a business and counting like doing the cash register. But at the time, I was getting paid like £3 an hour, and I was counting like £3 a day, and I was like, I'm doing it wrong. And it was so from that point, because with that job, I used to work like 7 days a week. Like when my mum and dad both give me really good work ethic. Well, this comes back to like the money mechanics and how we learn. But I was basically, from when I was 16, I used to work 7 days a week. Because I worked out that's how I could get. I was on like £3 an hour, but when I was 16, I made my first £1,000. And I was literally getting like slaved away. But at 16, there was no other job I could get to get that money. I've always been very money motivated. But that was where I first got my kind of see business from a real point. So when the day I turned 18, I literally went and bought I can't remember how big it was now, but I think it was like a 26-foot catering trailer. Okay. Spent all my money on this catering trailer. Didn't have any money for the pitch at all. Didn't have anything. Didn't basically just jump straight into it because I was like, I don't want to work a job no more. I want to work for myself. And that was the first. And that one literally didn't even get took off the ground. My next business, I started selling phone cases on eBay on the side from work and screen protectors. Getting a little bit of traction, but nothing crazy. I think I've probably in double digits of business at this point. Yeah. The first business that actually made any money at all really was the property management business. Okay. But even that, I run that more as a lifestyle business. I didn't treat it as a business I was trying to grow. It just allowed me to go travelling. It done what I needed it to do. But yeah, so then the thing is, I always wanted to get into property. So going back a little bit again, so when I got kicked out of, because I think you might want to hear this. So when I got when I got that point from when I got the heart operation to getting kicked out of school, I actually ended up homeless while I was in school. So I used to have a racing bike, and I used to literally put my sleeping bag on the back of the, on like the back bit of it. And I used to literally ride out to school every day, and I'd be sleeping in sheds and bus stops and all sorts of things. And that was when I was like 15. Might even have been earlier than that. I think it was earlier than that, to be honest. But so I've been homeless a couple of times, and when I was 19 and I was working 7 days a week, my boss actually stopped paying me. So I was working 7 days a week over Christmas period, and I stopped getting paid, and I ended up homeless again. And that was when I was working literally every hour under the sun. But that comes back to probably why I'm so interested in property.
So that you can have like a secure place over your head.
I worked out if I'm a property investor and worst comes to worst, it all falls down, I end up with a house.
You live in the house.
What's more than I had at the time.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. Like, I often say, like, if the shit hits the fan and I lost everything, I've got a house that's got no mortgage on it, so I could live there, and that would be, I'd be dry and I'd be warm, and that would be fine.
I'll give you another story you might like, and this is, a lot of people won't actually know kind of the truth to this, because you'll get it when I say it. So when I was 19, I ended up homeless. This is when I was working, and then, I was still 19 when I got a job again. I started working at a factory on minimum wage, and I ended up putting all my wages into the stock market. So I was homeless when I was 19, and I also bought my mum a Range Rover when I was 19. But it sounds really cool, and everyone thought it was really cool. But the truth of it, I've never actually told anyone, is I said to my mum, look, the Range Rover is yours. You can sell it. It was, when you sell it, the money's yours. But if I ever get kicked out, or if I don't have a place to stay, I'm staying in the car. So the real reason, everyone was, oh, you bought your mum a Range Rover. But being honest, a lot of the reason was that car was my first investment, so I'd have somewhere to stay. Yeah, to be honest with you, I didn't care about the money point of view. It was just a roof. It wasn't quite a house,
security thing, safety thing.
Yeah, I've never really told anyone that, but that was actually the truth of that matter. As someone who, from 15 into their teens, into their early 20s, has struggled with having no money, being homeless, having a lot of like disjointed lifestyle, how do you think you've managed to, and also the stuff that's happened with your partner, you know, that's really fucking hard for anybody, but also at a really young age, like having a business, having to kind of quit the business to become a carer, like how do you think you've managed to stay so fucking motivated to still carry on when actually you've dealt with all of that shit along the way? Because most people, Lawrence, be like, well, not most people, lots of people will be like, oh, this shit's happening to me, life's happening to me, I'm just going to give up. And actually, you're like the absolute opposite of that. So why do you think you're so driven? Why does that happen in you? I think with my partner getting ill, that's given me the most motivation I've ever had. So I think part of the reason my business has been so successful is I've had to make it happen. It was I've had more pressure than I've ever had before. So I think in this case, I actually think like failure is not an option. It's my partner's going through so much. The least I can do is provide and do what I can do. So, but from the past, don't get me wrong, there has been times that I've lost motivation, but I think the thing that's got me through it is, to be honest, I've got a huge risk appetite. What's part of the reason I failed so much? I take big risk and I just keep going. I take one risk and then I go again, and then I take another risk and I go again.
I think that's really interesting. So like appetite to risk is something that when I speak to most clients that we work with, and actually a lot of the people that we interview, appetite to risk, as people get older, tends to become less because they've got, in theory, more to lose. You know, houses, kids, all of like the real life shit that comes along as you get older. Do you think you take less risks now than when you were younger, or do you take more risks now than when you were younger?
More, but
okay.
I am getting to the point. Obviously, the more you build, you kind of, in certain aspects, I'm taking little bits of less risk, but I'm still at the point. I've not made it yet. My business is very much still in the early stage. I'm still hungry.
Yeah.
I'm still at that point. I am taking lots of risk. But I do think as I grow, even I can see it with my investments, I'm even starting to get a lot more less risky on my investments, or not less risky, but I'm trying to take on less headaches. So as I'm growing, I'm getting more passive investments. It depends how you look at it, but I'm still willing to take, a lot of the time now I have to de-risk myself, because my partner just lets me get onto it. She knows I'm a bit crazy and just don't really understand it all, but she knows I kind of make it work. But yeah, risks don't really scare me at all, to be honest.
Okay, this is really, really interesting. So you take risks with things like stocks and shares, gold. Do you invest in crypto?
Yeah, I've done quite well out of crypto, to be honest.
Amazing.
I stopped doing crypto. I've got a very small amount, but it's mainly just to put it into property. Because property is my drive. Like a lot of people, I think the mix between being homeless and watching too much Homes Under the Hammer. Property is my passion, so I do a lot of other investments, but property is the thing that I do enjoy. And I feel like a lot of people just say, "Oh, you get a property." Like a lot of people have got a bad stigma, but from being on the other end, and I've rented rooms, and I see the goodness it can do. So I look at it from a complete different aspect of that.
So what are your like next moves? Like, what's the goals for this year? What are you trying to do?
So it's mainly build the business, and I've got some good property investments basically coming up. What I have started realising, what I didn't actually intend to do, but a lot of my people are investing in me with gold and now investing in me with property. So up until now, I haven't actually been taking on investors. But it's just been like natural progression. So I've just started.
And is that where people are investing? So like lending you money to go and do a flip, for example, or to help you to acquire?
Basically, yeah. So a lot of people. Okay. So literally right now I've got three investors on board, and potentially a fourth. And they one of them buys sovereigns off me regularly, one of them buys jewellery, and because I think it's built that trust, and I didn't really even expect where I've built that trust, and they're investors at the end of the day. They want to see a good return on their money. So they're looking for me for other stuff. So I'm starting to build a bit of a community, really, of investors. So I'm still at the point I'm trying to work out, as well as having a gold business, I've kind of building a bit of an investment business.
Your ability to build a community of investors actually must come from your ability to build relationships, right? So how much time and effort do you put into those relationships that you've got? Because you've mentioned like repeat business a few times. You've mentioned obviously a guy that has traded stuff with you on a regular basis. So is that a big part of your strategy, or is that something that just you do naturally, or what?
Probably naturally, but 100% is my strategy. But it comes to strengths and weaknesses. So basically, I do most of do most of my business off my phone book. So I've probably got 20 customers. If I get any gold or silver in, I can just ring someone and it will sell straight away.
So let's say you picked up a bit of gold from, I don't know, a Facebook group or a car boot or something like that. You just WhatsApp your actual phone book and say, I've got this with a picture. This is the price, and someone will buy it. Yeah,
literally.
Great. Love that.
But the other problem to that is I've not really had a business for years. Part of the reason my other businesses haven't succeeded is I've stayed in my comfort zone. I haven't done anything to do with online technology. And I haven't done much marketing. So at the moment, I'm not really needing to do much marketing. So part of the reason I advertise on Facebook groups and even my own Facebook is just so people know I'm still there. Because the problem is I can pretty much get unlimited amount of gold and silver in and just sell it straight away. So
here's the question: why don't you? If you get unlimited, is it a cash flow thing? Because obviously you need the cash to buy it in the first place.
I say unlimited. I say unlimited. Maybe not unlimited, but I can get like £100,000 worth of gold and sell it, and I am doing that. So, so I don't know. This. I'm pretty sure you see me on a post where I've done a bulk lot of jewellery. So that's got a really good, interesting story. So that around that time I was selling. That was basically sorry. So around that time from the post with the bulk jewellery. That was actually everyone I sold that to was a young guy, someone younger than me, and it actually come off of a Facebook post. He put a Facebook post up saying he's buying jewellery. And this is the first time I could actually get out the house. I had hospital in the morning and I come home and the mate, he was in Kent, was a few hours from me. And I actually got drove straight up there. And I didn't even really let the matey know because it was a bit dodgy. Like, it's a lot of gold. He said he's buying gold. I basically just turned up and rang him. But from that call, from that one text, we ended up doing I think £100,000 worth of business in the first couple of weeks. And the interesting story with that is he's actually got Crohn's disease. He's younger than me, and he was working in a scrapyard. And basically, the scrapyard was keeping a meal, so he started doing gold. He started investing in gold, and instead of putting it into property, because I think his dad was doing property, and a lot of people were doing property, they were just buying it in gold. They were just buying gold and sticking it in the safe. I think in the first 3 weeks, I sold £150,000 worth of gold to him, and they were just buying it and sticking it in the safe.
Just off a Facebook post, ultimately.
Off one Facebook post.
And I think this is really interesting because a lot of people get obsessed when they're building a business with, I've got to have a website and I've got to have a logo and I've got to have advertising and I've got to do this and I've got to spend loads of money on banners and all the shit that goes with it. And actually, in reality, what is making you money is relationships, and it is being very visible, but in a really simple way. You know who your ideal client is, you know where they're hanging out, and you go in there and you're talking to them. And actually, whilst obviously I want to talk to you about gold and making money, from anyone who's listening to this that's trying to grow a business, that is the number one rule in business: is work out who your customer is, go to where they're hanging out and talk to them about how you can help them. And if you can do that, then life becomes easy. You don't actually have to obsess about all of the other tick boxes. So it's such an interesting thing that you're managing to make this sort of money, build this sort of business, which is a very reputation-led business. It's a business that people need to trust you, because actually there's a lot of scammers in the industry, similar to like with what I do. Like, it's all relationship-led and so simple. And I love that.
With that one thing I will say is I don't like leaving money on the table. So he gave me a bit of it. I think the second time I met him, he gave me a hint that roughly they had about £200,000 in the account. Because the first time, I think it was like a £25,000 sale. It was my biggest sale, I couldn't believe it, at the time. He told me he had £200,000. So basically, I went away, I bought as much gold as I could, because at the time, I think I had like £40,000 to spend. I spent the next 2 days, and within 2 days I bought £40,000 worth of gold. I went straight back up to Kent, sold it to him, done the same thing again. I started ordering a lot of online gold just so I could get it to me as quick as possible, because he said he had £200,000. I didn't want him going elsewhere.
You didn't want him to spend it with anywhere else. You didn't want it coming through you.
That's money in my pocket. And that's exactly what I've done. So I think, but this is my point. So for a month I was posting all that on Facebook, but he was buying good desirable jewellery at a good money, because a lot of the desirable jewellery has a bit of a premium, and they were happy to pay the premium because they were buying a lot of it, and they've done very well out of it now. I think they're up.
I love that.
Just in the last few months, 40%.
if someone wanted to start like buying and selling gold, right? You've got jewelry, you like baseline, just a gold ring, simple gold ring, no brand, no anything. And then you've got jewelry that's like a Cartier ring.
Yeah.
Is actually it better to just look at the simple gold, silver, like basic stuff rather than the premium stuff? Because like a Cartier ring has a premium because it's Cartier, but the gold value surely is the same, right?
I'd say the gold, it's a different industry, really. It's similar
because it's jewelry,
different market. Gold and silver, especially at the moment, but even there's always a demand for it because they're a store of value, and they've got a track record going back. So, but if you look,
so actually, like basic precious metal, gold, silver, in what you're doing is just the simplicity of that is just that, and actually the jewelry trading is a different thing completely. Even though it's made out of gold, technically, it's still a very different thing.
Like, I struggle to buy Cartier rings because the pricing is different. Like, I've tried to buy quite a lot. I've had a couple, but I've not had many at all because actually getting them where there can be a margin. Because a lot of people, when they're second hand, are wanting to buy them cheap anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense to me. I was just curious.
£2,000 for a ring, they're thinking it's worth. Yeah, so I think it's a harder market. So I've just started getting into the Rolexes, just because it's a bigger profit margin. And again, it's the same kind of thing. You've got to build up that reputation and trust. I kind of thought I had the reputation with the gold, but I've realised it's a kind of different audience again. Because I thought with the gold,
because anyone buying a second-hand watch is looking for a very specific thing, and obviously with that, it's papers and verifications and all of the things that come with that. It's different than buying a gold ring because a ring's a ring, but because it's gold, right? So it holds its own thing. That's really interesting. So let me talk to you a little bit about mindset around money. So your background, you're from 15, 19, really up and down, been homeless, bought a Range Rover so that you had an emergency place to sleep should you need it. You have started businesses that have failed. And even though, despite all of those things have happened, you still have a very positive mindset around money, even though you failed lots of different times. And assuming that failure, you've probably lost money along the way. What do you think is the difference between your mindset and your relationship with money and somebody else who's failed a few times and given up? Like, what do you think is the difference?
I think from even going back to when I was 19 or 18, I knew that I was going to lose money if I had to learn to do something. Because again, I remember having £500 on my name. I think I was about 19, and I told my mum I'm going to do stocks and shares, and I'm going to lose this £500. That was my words. I said I'm going to lose this 500 quid. And she's like, you can't afford to. And I'm like, I'm going to keep doing it. But I said everyone that starts something loses along the way.
To start with,
So my mindset before we even started, because I think most people want to get returns, and when they don't get returns, then they pull out. Like, I know a lot of people that have done it or watched what I'm doing, and they've put a little bit of money in, lost, and they've never done it again. The difference with me is I don't know how, but I already kind of set myself up knowing.
You've made peace with the fact that you're going to lose money at some point.
And I look at a lot of long-term approach. Like even now, when I'm investing, I look at like 20, 30 years in ahead. What I think a lot of people will struggle to do. Like with part of the reason I like property so much and even gold and silver. Every time I buy a bit, I'm looking at it for like 20, 30 years. Even though I do sell stuff earlier than that, that's like my long-term time horizon.
Because I suppose worst case scenario, if you couldn't sell it and you held it, the likelihood is that in 10, 15, 20 years, it's going to be worth more than it is now. So actually even though you're holding it, your net worth value is going up, even if you're not realising the cash right now.
Yeah, 100%. So even look at, like, I'm guessing you know a little bit about Tony Blair when he sold our gold?
Ish, yeah.
Yeah, so that was 1999 to 2001. I think he sold, it's just roughly by the way these figures, but he sold our gold for about 2.1 billion. Today that would be worth 40 billion. So it's but that kind of So
nice work, Tony Blair.
So, but is that, what's that, like a 2,000% return? So even if you get that on like £1,000, it's a lot of money.
I think this is also an interesting thing. Like, a lot of people think they can't start to invest until they've got a lot of money. And actually what you're talking about here is £500, £800 for a ring, like £1,000. And I appreciate you paid £800 and you sold it for £15 profit. But if you then continue to do that compounding over time is effectively where it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and you make bigger money. But a lot of people won't do the £500 bit, the £10 bit, because they don't want to make £15 because they feel like it's pointless. Actually, it isn't. It's the starting point, right? And when you start to make little bits, you can then lead you into making bigger bits.
100%. So I've actually started to do quite a lot of repeat business with people. And I got an older investor, and a lot of people are doing sovereigns for inheritance reasons. And so a lot of them have got property, they've got everything else, but with gold you can obviously sell it straight away. But it got me thinking. Also, I know a lot of people, like working people, and my second person was actually someone in Tesco's. He now buys ounce silver coins. When he started, I think it was 3 or 4 months ago, he was buying them for £60 a coin. They're now £90 a coin, and then within 4 months. But he's been buying two. He's been buying 2 a month, and he's just ramped it up now. So he's buying like 1 a week. Yeah. I don't know what he gets paid, but I think he gets paid like £250 a week. Rough. I'm just making rough figures.
Well, in Tesco, I imagine it's like £12, £13 an hour, something like that.
Yeah, so it's like £300 a week, but he's putting £100 a week away into silver now. And he's doing a little bit of gold as well, but this is like regular. It's a bit like you do with stocks and shares, but and I've got the same
dollar cost averaging actually is what that is.
I've got a lot of people. I've started doing it with a lot of builders as well, because I used to do a bit of plastering, and I've got a lot of builder friends, and they've a lot of them are on about £500 a week, and you can get a half sovereign. They're getting really expensive now. Obviously, they're doing well, but you can get a half sovereign for just about £400. So I've got quite a few of them that are buying half sovereigns every week, and they're living off the £150. Yeah, they're living off the difference. If someone listening to this is like, do you know what, I think I might just start buying some gold, where would someone who's never bought gold before, got absolutely no idea what they're doing, where would they go to buy a half sovereign? Like, what's the process that they could go through to go and buy one? You'd come to me.
There we go. Nice plug, Lauren.
A lot of the places you go to are the big bullion companies. So there's like Bullion by Post. There's a lot of the bigger bullion companies that because there's so many scammers out there. You have got to be very careful, and that's what puts a lot of people off. Yeah. But this is where I do quite good, because obviously with the bullion companies, you are paying a decent premium. This is where I come in. It's finding a trusted trader, someone who's reliable, someone who can deliver month on month. Because even with the sovereigns, I actually struggle to get enough of them, because it's going up so much. No one wants to sell them.
Exactly that.
So
they'd come to you and they'd say, right, I want to buy roughly this much of gold, and you'd effectively go and source that gold, buy it at a price and sell it to them at the price that you've agreed, and you'd keep your margin in the middle. They'd have their gold, you'd keep the cash, and you'd go and do the same process again. Yeah,
exactly that. So what I say to people basically, because a lot of people I meet online or I buy sovereigns off, a lot of them, they've been buying off the bullion sites and now they're selling one, because like the other day there was someone around the corner from me. He just needed money for a car. But I basically said, he goes, as soon as I get this sorted, I'm going to buy some more. And I said, whatever the bullion site is, just let me know, and I'll beat it by £10. And because I'm telling everyone that, and I'm doing business and I'm transacting, and I'm dealing with people regular, it's working quite well for me, because most people I deal with, they're investors at the end of the day, so they want to, they're doing it to get a better return, and as long as they can do it in a safe manner, there's no really reason for them to go elsewhere other than me, because they can't get it cheaper unless they're getting scammed. Because there's a lot of which is not, or at least taking the risk of getting scammed. So
So Lawrence, could talk to you about this all day. I find it fascinating. And I actually think I'll probably have a conversation with you offline where we'll talk about actually starting to help me to do the same thing, because to buy gold, I don't want to trade gold, but to buy, because I do invest in gold and silver in a digital form. But actually holding gold in a physical form is something that I've often thought about doing. Never had the confidence to know where or how I was buying it, like because of the scam situation. And, you know, other than like buying jewellery that I know is gold, like that's the simple thing. But actually there's more to it on the bullion side. And I find that fascinating. So we'll definitely have that conversation. And anybody who wants to have that conversation with you, how can they get in touch with you? Like, what's the best way for them to contact you?
At the moment, I would say the best way to get in touch with me is just my personal Facebook at the moment. So it's Lawrence Keighley on Facebook.
Great. I will add that link to the show notes that goes out with this podcast anyway, so that anyone can just click that and find you. So at the end of every episode, what we do is we will ask you a question that's been left by our previous guest, and then we will ask you for a question for our next guest. So our question for you is, if someone followed you around for a week, would they believe that you are serious about your goals based on the behaviours and activities and actions that you take day to day?
Yes, in this present time, yes.
Yeah? Is that because you know what you're trying to aim for and you're consistent in it, or what else? Like why do you think they'd be
I know
sure?
exactly what I want. I've got my goals written down. I think that's, again, we didn't really touch too much on the actual the mindset of money today, but it's having clear goals, and a lot of people don't have the belief. And I think you should always set goals above what you can believe. So even going back to like my partner, a few months ago, she didn't even walk. She couldn't take a step without holding on. Me telling her she's going to do that, it was too far to for her to see. But now she's doing it. So now she's done that, she's got the belief. But actually, if you set your goals, I think if you set your goals more than what you can even believe you can do, you'll be surprised. If you just take the steps to do it, you'll be surprised actually. Like even me, if you told me I'll be where I am like 10 years ago, I just wouldn't have believed it. And it's, again, it's getting around the right people and actually realising what is doable.
Yeah, I love this. So because you've got clear goals, because you're consistent in chasing them, actually the movement and the momentum towards them just becomes that little bit easier.
Yeah, 100%. I know exactly what I'm working towards.
Love, love, love. Thank you for sharing that. So what is your question for our next guest?
What is the number one thing you can personally do to help someone on their financial journey?
Oh, love that question. Have you got an idea of what you could do?
Well, that's a good question. That's a good question. I think mine comes back to helping people invest. Well, so probably, and like similar to you, it's like the mindset. Yeah. But mine is because a lot of my investors now I'm trying to work with are working class people that haven't invested. Yeah. I've got more than 10 people that haven't actually invested before, so I feel like actually starting people from the ground up. Again, they might do a little bit of investment with me, but 10 years down the line, once you start investing, you'd be surprised where it goes. And I think it is making a lot of difference to people. But just a caveat with that, just one extra bit on that question. Yeah. If it's career related, like if I asked it to you, it'd obviously be what you're already doing. Then I'd say ask them one other way they can help someone on their financial journey.
So what are they doing and what extra could they do to help people on their financial journey? Great. Love that question.
So I just think that gets people thinking about helping people. So
I think it will. And actually the more, again, this is why Money Mechanics exists, is because I think working class people, middle class people, we just haven't ever had the conversation about money because we've never been allowed to really. It's always been considered rude, bad manners. Like and there's so much opportunity there for really normal people to become just financially a little bit better off, a bit more comfortable, to worry less about money. And if we could do that, actually life becomes that little bit happier. So I love the question, and the more we can all help anybody, the better, which is amazing. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It's been a pleasure. I know for certain the people listening to this are going to love this episode. You survived your first ever podcast interview, so well done. Congratulations. Now you can go and do loads after this. And I think what would be really cool is to maybe have another interview with you in like a year's time and see what you've done and what's changed. Because I actually, you know, someone of your age, with your drive, with your motivation, I think you're doing incredible things. So congratulations just on all of that. I'll add to the show notes everything that we're going to do. But thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it lots. And I will speak to you soon.
Thanks. One more thing I want to say before I do go is I think we didn't really touch on it today, but I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Even in school, I actually wanted to learn about money, and obviously you're just not taught about money. And I think even with me, if I wanted to learn about money, but I just wasn't taught. And I just think it would have changed a lot. I think what you're doing is absolutely amazing, and I think the more people that can learn about money, the better.
One of my ambitions is to try and bring financial literacy and investing literacy specifically like into schools, into young teenagers, young adults, as they're starting to work and starting to think about, you know, living on their own, having families, like all this sort of stuff. Like how can actually they be financially sound from a much earlier? So people don't have to work quite so hard for quite so long. So it's, you know, my mission is really clear with it and I love it. And I get to experience the impact that it has. So thank you for that. It's nice to hear.
Yeah, that was great. Anyway, appreciate you having me on.
Thank you so much for getting to the end of the podcast episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it. I just wanted to take this opportunity to remind you that the weekly Money Mechanics newsletter is available to you completely free. This is a newsletter I'm going to send out every week to just give you some ideas around what's happening in the markets, what's happening at a global level, what's happening at a lot more local level, so that you can better understand what you can do with your money to make it work for you for the future. I'm also going to share in the newsletter what I'm doing in my own portfolio, just to give you some insights into what my ideas are, why I'm making the decisions that I'm making, in the hope that it will help you to make those decisions in your own portfolios as well. All you've got to do is find the link that's with this episode, hit the link and subscribe, and that newsletter will start to come out to you every single week. I'd also really love to take this opportunity to invite you to drop me a review. I love the opportunity of getting to share these podcast episodes with you. It really helps me to better understand how we can do the best job that we can here at Money Mechanics if you tell us your feedback. So drop us a review, tell us the sort of guests that you want, talk to me and connect with me on Instagram, talk to us on YouTube, wherever you are hanging out. Tell us how you're finding it and we can make this the very best podcast it can be. Thank you again for being such a valued listener. I appreciate you all and I'll speak to you soon.